Hello, welcome to the Irn-Cru podcast, an NFL podcast made in Scotland by NFL lovers. You are listening to and watching the Review Crew, and I am your host, Brian. Come at me, don't. So I'm going to go back to being the conscience of Cleveland. I should never have abandoned it. Now, for some of us on the pod, it was lucky number week 7, and then there's everybody else in the league that supports the Browns. But yes, we were treated to another great weekend of football. Eagle-eared is a thing. Beagle-eared? Well, among you, you will notice that we are now into much more convenient 45-minute-ish, chunks. The analysis and terrible takes are all still here in absolute abundance. Now remember, like, subscribe, follow the crew. You can find us on X, we're on Instagram, we're on Twitch, we're on YouTube, we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Spotify. We are wherever you get your podcasts. Now I've been on IR, or I might have been benched, but I've been there long enough. I am delighted to be back. But what would the Irn-Cru be without its crew? And tonight I'm joined by one old duffer and one debutante. So, now, who would have thought that somebody in the crew would want to talk kickers more than Stu? But tonight we have him. We have somebody that's more excited about a kicker than Stu. It is our favourite cheesehead. It is Liam. How are you doing, mate?
Oh, I'm really well, thank you. Another great weekend of football, as you say. And yes, we might have found a kicker finally. You never know.
Yeah. It's okay. We can bemoan kickers and special teams later. I'm certainly going to moan about special teams later. And we've finally done it. We have managed to scrape someone off the bandwagon that is Detroit. It is a Andy. How are you doing tonight, mate?
It was a roller coaster yesterday. Great game, though, to be fair, to watch, especially for the neutral. But to get that one over the line, yeah, some game.
It wasn't half. We're going to be diving into that one tonight. I need a soundboard. I need like sound effects, like a wee drum roll or something to go on. But we'll get crew announcements. So remember, this Sunday, the only place to be if you are N9 in Glasgow, get yourself onto our socials. We are hosting a watch party. You can get your tickets via the socials. It's free. You just get yourself on to get a ticket for entry. Get yourself down. Keith, forward to spending a Sunday night with you and enjoying all things Scott Hansen. Because what better way to spend a Sunday night with friends than if the warm, glowing embrace that is Scott Hansen's wonderful person. Now, we have also got Dan and Gav have been burning the midnight oil, and they have got a whole host of You've already got Special Crew 3 with the one, the only Phoebe Schechter from, do you know, I was going to say, from Sky fame or from Bill's coaching. The woman's done more things than it's possibly reasonable. And if you don't appreciate on the crew, you get to hear a whole load about her journey, and it's an incredible listen. That one is already out for you to enjoy. We have got 2 more Special Crews in the mix. They are coming out very, very soon. Special Crew 4. It is a throwback. It is a throwback for Liv. We have got Rob Hart and Bobby Grant, who are ex-Scottish Claymores players. They are joining Dan and Gav, and they are also joined by the British punter, fantastic UK-based NFL content creator. So that one is going to be with you guys very, very soon. And there is a Special Crew 5 in the mix. And I have been sworn to secrecy. I am not allowed to tell you anything about it other than the fact you should be very excited. You should be watching your podcast feed for Special Crew 4, 5, and if you have not had a chance to watch 3 with Phoebe yet, you need to make sure you're getting into that one. Now, gents, we are here for one reason and one reason only. It is to talk week 7. So, we are going to start where it was only sensible to start, at the beginning. And it was Thursday Night Football. And it was Saints Broncos. And my opening question, chaps, with this, it was Broncos doing the Saints, who everybody loved the look of at the start of the year. Now, yeah, they've got some injuries like a missing Derek Carr. But everybody loved the Saints at the start of the year. The Broncos, the much maligned Broncos, hosed them 33-10. Should we be paying some respect to Denver? Or Denver actually, dare I say, I love it that Liam's had a big inhale already.
Breathe in.
Are Denver good? Are Denver actually a good football team? What do we know? Who wants to come in this one? Are Denver actually worth watching these days, guys? Somebody put me out of my misery. I've been ragging in Denver all year.
Definitely our defence is worth watching, I think. They've been kind of playing lights out, keeping the team in it. I suppose it was a Sean Payton revenge game, wasn't it, in some ways? Or not revenge game. He wouldn't have put it a revenge game. He'd have put it of a, I don't know, a mutual appreciation game or something like that, you know.
I love it when they try and do this over polite nonsense. It's a mutual appreciation game.
But yeah, as you say, thinking back to week 2, the Saints when they hosed the Dallas Cowboys. Back to week 2 days, back in the day. And then are they just decimated with injuries? I think they lost their cornerbacks as well this game as well. I think Lattimore and their other cornerback went out, but they just seem to be losing player after player. But they just, I don't know. It was to be fair, Denver just kind of ran over them. Bonex didn't have to do much. His stats were like, what was it, 164 was it, yards or something like that. He didn't pass for.
That is Bonex, because he wasn't highly ranked. He sat there. He's with a team that's above 500. Broncos are okay. Find the ball down the throat. Is that what we're seeing here, or is it just a case of the Saints are a bit beat up and hey, what can you do?
I think, like you said, they're a run-first team, and it was one of the first games that I can remember that Javonte Williams kind of took for this season. Mm-hmm. For me, the success for Denver is just, Bonex is your quarterback of the future, and the good thing for him going into the season was there was no QB drama. This is Bonex's team, and away and have at it. So, yeah, he didn't set the world alight, but he didn't need to. That's like you say, hand the ball off to Williams, complete the passes when asked to do so, and just let your defense take care of the rest. Obviously going up against an injured Saints team, but I think Zach Allen's really sort of taken control of that defensive tackle spot as well. There's been a wee bit of talk about him sort of defensive year, actually. He's been that good, so quite interesting to see. But yeah, they're a good watch. I wouldn't say great.
I like that. I like the hedging. Good. That's how you carry the way, though. It's still Denver. I don't know, it's of interest to me for definitely not fantasy reasons when I have this guy started on my taxi squad. Spencer Rattler got some action. Spencer Rattler got a start. Spencer Rattler didn't look great. It was a start that, okay, this one he was expecting. He featured. He featured last week. Are we worried about Spencer? Because a lot's made. Rookies don't get him. We're not going to do this talk again. My God, me and Stu have done this so many times in the pod. Do what Green Bay does. Put your rookie quarterbacks behind an experienced quarterback for a few years, damn it. But the league doesn't do that anymore. A lot of chat that the Saints were trying to do that with Rattler. Put him behind Derek Carr for a while. Let him mature in the background. You get an injury. He's thrust into the limelight. Is this something where you look at that and you go, that's a worry? Or do you say, give the kid a break? He's a rookie. This is his first full start tonight, I think, as I'm now doubting myself, but certainly one of a small number of NFL appearances and basically breathed out for a bit. What do we think? Are we worried about that after the game time?
I think it's definitely too early to be worried about him. I think, as you say, it's first full game or so, whatever. Okay, he kind of lost 2 fumbles, didn't he, in the game? But yeah, it's a rookie quarterback starting off. Okay, not great, but a bit of experience can also be a good thing. Getting in there, getting a bit of real game action. Okay, and knowing that you probably are going to go back to the bench once Carr comes back, that's fine. And so now you've got that wee bit of experience. Okay, it's not going perfectly well, but it's not going horribly badly. I don't think. I wouldn't have said, but yeah, I think he's had a bit of experience. Put him back on the bench when Carr's. I think Carr might be out again next week. I think.
At least one more
looking that way. So he's going to have another start to see how that goes. As long as you don't kind of throw him to the wolves, I think it's a wee bit of experience and see how it goes when he gets his time next.
No, I mean, no Olave, no Shaheed. You're down to linemen. It's not an ideal choice.
So you're saying that this was just a very bad attempt at alarmist behaviour from me?
No, I'm not saying. But I'd give it, yeah. I mean, if he's playing next week, let's see. I don't know actually who they have next week, but
we'll leave it for the preview crew. Those guys can worry about what the Saints have in front of them. But yeah, so at the end of the day, Saints they slide to 2-5, 1-3 at home. That's a worry. It's basically like Dallas. Yes, we get to talk about Dallas even when they're on a bye, because somehow Dallas lose the bye week. But yeah, that's alarming. You got to win your games at home, man. You can't be letting teams take you at home. But yeah, it was. Do you know what? It was an entertaining game to watch because it started wild with the big rattler. And did he get sacked? I can't remember if it ended in a sack or if he managed to chuck it away. But there was a whole bunch of bobbling about at the start, and the clips immediately went all over X of just this is going to be funny. So yeah, it's a shame. New Orleans are really beat up in pretty much every aspect of the ball at the minute. So we'll give them a pass for this week. But hey, Denver keep on rolling. You gotta love it. Right now, can't believe it. Can't believe I'm going to say this. We actually had a London game that was good. We had a London game that was actually a good game, and it didn't finish like 3-0. So yes, we moved to the final London game of the year, and we had a send-off that was absolutely worthy of a last London game. It was a record attendance for a London game as well, which was brilliant to see. As much as I slag off the London games, sometimes they're a bit... And this was one that was getting a lot of heat, actually. So a lot of people were looking at us going, you're giving us Jags Pats. This year's Jags Pats. Why? But it was a good game. I thoroughly enjoyed watching it. We had the Jags running out this one, 32-16. It's only the Jags' second win of the year. They have, I think it's fair to say, struggled in most. We beat them. That tells you all you need to know. They've been struggling. But then again, so have the Pats. They have looked, I was going to say a shadow of their former selves, but they've been looking like a shadow for years. Drake May did get his second start, which was something, and we'll talk about him. But what do we think? Andy, what was your big takeaways for this? It was nice to see a London game with some flair involved for me. I thoroughly enjoyed watching it.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Patriots came out and started well, and I actually was a bit surprised at that. Drake May again was looking deep at times, a few completions, looked good, but I think once the Jags had sort of settled down, got into the rhythm a wee bit, you could see. I mean, Brian Thomas looks incredible. He looked good coming out of college, and you add him into that offense. Running game still okay. ETN was out. They picked that up though, Bixby, and I think it was Johnson as well.
Yep.
So it was a must-win game. You cannot go to 1-6. There's too much talent there. Even at 2-5, you look at their schedule come up. It's still brutal for the Jags. For Pats, what's going on there? you're potentially other than Panthers, worst roster in the league at the moment. Yeah.
Is this one? Right, you know what? Well, first, actually, but before we start to be on negative and down, really, as someone who owns many fantasy shares of Tank Bigsby and Ryan Thomas Jr., I was delighted with their performances. Because ETN is, well, I don't know, ETN's hurt. But even before ETN went out of this one hurt, ETN didn't even suit up this week. Even before ETN went down hurt, he was, for somebody that was so highly touted, and he did have a good year, if not last year, the year before. I honestly can't think at the moment. But he has fallen off a cliff in terms of production. And Tank Bigsby, who is somebody that, one, has a hilarious first name for a running back. Two, somebody that people thought was going to be really good, and then he got a couple of bit of action last year, and everyone went, your efficiency stats are terrible. He's been looking really good this year. Do the Jags have two really top weapons in Tank Bigsby and Brian Thomas Jr. going forward? Liam, are they players that you would want to see, not in place of anybody in Green Bay, because you guys are blessed with an embarrassment of riches, but are they players that you would welcome onto the roster?
Well, certainly Brian Thomas. I think he's been, of all the rookies, him and Neighbours have been kind of lighting it up, really. Rookie-wise, he's been, I think he's only had a couple of down games, if you want to call it, and that's on a bad offense. Jaguars have been pretty bad most weeks, so you got to give him credit for that. And then Tank's been, they kind of were all saying that they wanted like a 1-2 punch with him and ETN. Okay, ETN's not really done it. He's been a bit meh this season so far. Bigsby's been definitely playing a lot better compared to what he was, as you said, last year when he was fumbling. He fumbled the ball a couple of times and he just was looking a bit out of place, and maybe it's a bit of shot of confidence. Maybe that's all it was. And he's just kind of he's turned it up. Like he seems to have turned a corner this season, and certainly they need to get more involved. They need to keep getting him more involved now. Even when Etienne comes back.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I honestly think that we might be witnessing the RB1 swapping. I think Tank could actually be taking him forward. Right, we've been too nice for too long. Because you mentioned it, Andy, that this was a must-win game. With that roster the Jags had, I love a hypothetical, if they had fallen to the Patriots with that roster they had, would Doug Peterson have been getting a different plane home?
He could have been.
Do you think it would have been that dire? Yeah,
and he could have gone earlier if it not been for the fact that they were playing in London for a matter of weeks. It's been that bad, to be honest, if you've watched them at all. But this, it gives them another week at least. I think it's the Eagles up next. I'm not sure, but it doesn't get easier, that's for sure.
No, it is one. I think you're actually dead right that he could have gone before now. And I think, do you know what? That's really interesting because the Jags get it every year. Well, have gotten it every year. They won't be getting it next year. Well, they've got that protracted run of games in London where, that's probably saved his bacon and kept him in a job. The fact that he's had that to kind of to lean on. Right, so we'll end on a positive note. So you did mention it earlier, but we'll come back to it. Drake May looked good. Drake May did look good. The New England's O-line isn't great, but even then, he only gets sacked twice in London. So that's, it wasn't terrible. He put up, 26 of 37, 276 yards and a couple of touchdowns. That's for somebody that, again, we expected to see Drake May this year. There was no way that the Pats were going to run Jacoby all year. I'm going to say we didn't expect to see him this early. But I would say if you're a New England fan, surely this is positive stuff, Liam. Surely when you look at Drake May, you're going, do you know what? You might have a player here.
Yeah, I think that was really that's what their season is finding out what May can be, really. As Andy alluded to, they haven't really got a good roster across the board. Their offensive line seems to be horrible. And fair May only getting sacked 2 times is pretty good going. So yeah, you kind of like what you're seeing from May. He's certainly moving the ball when he has to and getting those touches. Still getting that kind of, say, the stat line. It's a good stat line for any QB having nearly 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. You take that and a day's work, really. So So yeah, it's as long as he can keep that going and keep him healthy, make sure he doesn't get injured at some point in this season, and then everyone knows they're on a rebuild, reset, into next year, see what they can draft picks they can get, and take it from there. Really,
I love that. I love the change of language that the other views have noticed this. The league seems to have subtly changed. Nobody admits to being in a rebuild anymore. No team's rebuilding. Everything. Oh, we're just doing a soft reset. It's just a soft reset of the roster. We're changing a couple of pieces and we're going to be competitive next year. You're like, no. You're in Carolina. This is a rebuild. Right. Moving from a game that I was surprised was good. I won't lie about it. Sorry for everybody that maybe went, and for all the Jags and Pats fans out there that knew this was going to be a goodie. I thought it was going to be a questionable game, but I was delighted to be wrong. To a game that I don't think anybody is surprised was an absolute instant classic. And I'm going to be honest, I think the bigger question here is not so much is this an instant classic, because the way these teams are playing, it's not a shock. But is this a deep playoff preview? Are we looking at something that we are going to be watching later in the year? It was your very own Detroit Lions, Andy, coming out 31-29 ahead of the, who thought we'd be saying this year, electric Sam Darnold-led Minnesota Vikings. It was an absolute cracking game. I think for most people, most neutrals anyway, would probably be saying that it was game of the weekend for them. Andy, you are the Lions fan of the corner, one pride and all the rest of it, mate. Take it away. How did this one feel? Because this was such a back and forwards game.
I think the fact that go back and forwards, it was horrible to watch live. It started so poorly as well, with the fake punt, and I think the Vikings seen it come in from a mile off. It was like a car crash in slow motion. They then go score straight away, and you're thinking, oh, this could be an absolute doing. But it's credit to Goff, and I think if this was last year, that might have happened. There seems to be a bit more of a resilience about Goff, in that he's willing to go a bit deeper and spread the ball a wee bit more. It was a back and forth game. It looked like the Lions had it comfortably. The Vikings come right back, and then the Lions get it back, and it's just a bit of a tug of war that you're happy that you're on the right end.
It was absolutely something else, and I didn't say okay for the neutral. For me, kind of watching that alongside my Browns. I appreciate how if you were emotionally invested in that game, that might have been a pretty challenging watch. But it was so good. And like seeing a lot of different kind of playmakers come to the fore as well. Yes, okay, we know Amon-Ra's good. Everybody knows Amon-Ra's good. But seeing Khalif Raymond pick up some moves, Sam Laporta's kind of fallen away a wee bit. We'll maybe talk about him in a minute. Tim Patrick picking up his token couple of receptions is always nice to see as well. For me, the big one, and now, before we do this, and we'll talk about the Vikes as well in a minute, but obviously Monty went out for a wee bit hurt. But by God, did what feels a wee bit like the forgotten man, Jahmyr Gibbs, stepped up big style. What were your kind of thoughts watching this Detroit Lions kind of offense, Liam? When you're thinking about watching them on that side of the ball, watching the weapons they've got, what were your kind of your takeaways as a Packers fan looking on of all things?
Obviously, sad they're doing well, but they're in all honesty, they're a fun team. They have always been a fun team to watch since Dan Campbell's taken over. And like as you say, they've got so many weapons now. And you touched on like Tim Patrick. I think that was a great pickup from the Lions when they picked him up. He's so last week he had touchdown call back or something like that. He's done well. I like Gibbs, as you say, the 1-2 punch from Montgomery. Montgomery goes down. Gibbs just steps up.
1-2 punch anymore.
Sorry, 1A, 1B, whatever it's called. Whatever it is.
Sonic and Knuckles.
Yeah.
Sonic and Knuckles. Come on now, we got to get the branding. Is that what this is at this point? We're going to release some merch. Sonic and Knuckles.
But the other thing that would impress me with Goff was the blitz. They totally kind of also defensive coordinator for the Vikes. He's blitzing all the time. What's his name?
Right.
Flores. That's the name.
Yeah.
Not all the time. He's got a high blitz rate, and he totally just he was outstanding against the blitz. Goff, to be fair, the last 2 weeks, or was it last week? He did a perfect passer rating, and he was nearly at it again this week. So yeah, he's playing pretty well, shall we say, to put it mildly.
Yeah, and you mentioned Gibbs. That draft class is turning into an incredible one with Brian Branch on the other side of the ball. You've got Laporte. I actually think Jack Campbell's kind of flashed a wee bit as well. Just getting the ball, he's sideline to sideline. So certainly Brad Holmes been drafting quite well in his years since joining.
Yeah, Branch. Now you can keep me right, Andy, because you have this closer to your head than me. Because I'm now trying to remember the record that Branch equaled or set last night. It was some of the most games in a row for a rookie with an interception or something like that. There was something that came up that
You put me on the spot, and I'm not entirely.
It'll come back to me. It was there was some credential laid to his name because he's playing fantastic. He really, really is. He's really looking the part. Now to move to the other side of this game, Minnesota have been. I don't think this is unfair to say, wildly better than anyone expected coming into this year. You know what I mean? Sam Darnold has been a perennial journeyman. Wherever he's gone in the league, he's flashed for, I don't know, 4 games, something like that is kind of how long Sam Darnold looks good, and then he becomes Sam Darnold again. He turns back into a pumpkin. But we are at week 7. The Vikings are 5-1. They're 3-1 at home. And even on the receiving end of a loss, Darnold still came out 22 of 27, 259 yards, a touchdown, 1 pick as well. He had 1 pick, to be fair, and he adds on 39 yards on the ground. This Vikings defense has looked good as well. Vikings offense has looked really, really good. And was this game a playoff preview? That's where we're going with this. These are 2 teams that everybody was in the Lions train before we started the year. Expectations in the Lions are very high this year. Expectations in the Vikings are getting higher with every single week that they play. Is this a game that we can expect to see again in the postseason?
Well, I suppose as a Packers fan, possibly, sadly, might be seeing it. But selfishly, I was quite glad the Vikings lost this week. Keeps the Packers in the hunt. But yeah, you can't really doubt Sam Darnold at the moment, or at least the scheme he's playing in. I think the Jones pickup from us, from the Packers, has been great for them. You saw the difference when Jones went out in the Jets game. They kind of stuttered a bit then, and he's back in it this week, straight off the bat. First quarter gets that touchdown straight away. Another nearly 100-yard game. And obviously you've still got Jefferson, who's he's Jefferson, isn't he? So
Jefferson being Jefferson.
So yeah, it's. I think as long as they can avoid injuries, they're going to be. You can't really deny it now. They're 5-1. They're going to be thereabouts, aren't they? So.
What are you, Andy? Is this one you expecting to see a repeat of this in the postseason?
Yeah, they're stacking wins, and that's what the good thing is. They've banked all those wins already. So, going forward, schedule looks good for the Vikings. I think they will be there. I think Jefferson, for me, is the best receiver in the league. He's just incredible. I actually think for the Lions, that is considered a good job. I know he still had a touchdown, about 7 catches and about 80-odd yards. That's still considered a good job for us, considering what he's done to us previously. Yeah. I think there's loads of positives for Vikings to take. They had the chance to win the game. I know they missed a pass in that last drive. They give the ball back, but they could have easily seen this game out and been 6-0. So yeah, definitely remain positive from a Minnesota perspective.
Yeah, it is one. They're 2 teams. As I say, everybody's seen the Lions coming. Which, to be fair, as far as I'm going to take it for the Lions as we tie this one up, I'm going to say the fact that the Lions, everybody's seen you coming and you're still doing well, is a huge, huge credit to you. It's, I've said it a lot about the Texans last year. Nobody really seen them coming, so it makes them harder to play or the rest. When you know a team's good and you know a good team's coming, you scheme deliberately against the Amon-Ra's of this world. When they still gash you, It just shows you how good that team is. Nobody's seen the Vikings coming, and they're still rolling. Which, hey, to be fair, you can't take it away from them. Right, we're going to move from a game that was an instant classic to a game that was predictable. It went the way we all knew it was going to go. It was the Tennessee Titans playing the Buffalo Bills. I honestly, I was sat doing this one before we came on. Like, what the hell do I even say? Not about the Bills. The Bills, we know what to talk about. Oh, the Titans. Well, Mason Rudolph's back. It's not Christmas yet, but Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer had to step in. This is one. Do you know what? Right, okay. Because I don't think we really the Titans fall to 1-5. They're not having a good year. Is this one? Do we expect to see the Titans start to move assets on? Would be one of mine. They are now sitting at 1-5. The season is spent. Let's not kid on. You're not pulling a season back for 1-5. They are sat on some pretty tradable assets, one would think. You've got DeAndre Hopkins. You've got Tony Pollard. Yes, okay, Tony Pollard's only just signed and we know this. Do they start to try and move some of those assets on for draft capital? Do they just look at next year and go, stuff it, we're already in a rebuild, we might as well keep going?
Yeah, I don't know. I suppose you already heard the kind of rumours about Hopkins. Apparently, there's, he's maybe available for trade or not.
He's still going to go to the baddies. And
what is Hopkins now? What is he? 32?
Is he that old? I'm literally checking as we talk.
He just seems that old because he's been around for ages.
32. He's older as a receiver goes, but he's still DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. It's Titans are a kind of strange one. I don't really know what to make of them. They've kind of got an all right defense at times, but then they just can't hold up because their offense just puts them in holes all the time. I just don't know. Got off to such a good start. As you say, Brian, I don't really know what to say about them.
Totally throwing Liam under the bus. Liam, talk about a team I don't know what to say anything about because it's just not it
started so well. They were 10-0, 10-0 up, weren't they? And then Bills decided to wake up and just hose them for the second half.
Exactly. Okay, right. And Andy, I'll throw you a bone. It's a running joke that we have here on the crew is that the Bills Super Bowl window opens and closes more quickly than a revolving door. The Bills have, I'll be honest, I don't think the Bills have looked particularly convincing for a couple of their games this year. I think they've looked kind of ropey. They have, and I am delighted for them, but they have brought in Amari Cooper from my beloved Browns. Who had a good game. He came in, what did he finish with? 66 yards and a touchdown. He did all. Did you notice this actually? This has been a good one that's been doing the rounds. Where Keon Coleman had to kind of give him a little whisper to tell him what route he was meant to run on the touchdown play when they were at the line of scrimmage. So they've got some more weapons in there. Are the Bills, the AFC this year is not looking as strong as it has in years gone by. The NFC is looking like a much stronger division this year. By virtue of that, are the Bills a team that, see, to be fair, there's a deep playoff run in the works here because, KC will be there at the end of it. But that aside, the Ravens look okay. Still some holes there, I'm going to say. The Bengals look nowhere near what they've been. Are the Bills, even at the tender age of week 7, are the Bills a team that are looking ahead going, we fancy a deep run?
I think so. They have to have their eyes set on that number 1 seed. I know Chiefs are at 6-0, but you just take it week by week. With Josh Allen, you've always got a chance. Coleman kind of stepped up today as well, as well as you said, Cooper. So if they can get production out of Coleman, I think they'll be absolutely fine. They look like they've kind of stepped up. You've got Ray Davis as well there with James. Going to add another dimension to their sort of offense. So they'll be dangerous no matter what. And their defense it doesn't matter who's out there. They always seem to make plays. So I'm not worried about the Bills. I think they could go far, yeah.
Yeah, they are a team that I love dearly. I really wish Josh Allen would start running touchdowns in more because I have more fantasy shares of Josh Allen than anyone else. But yes, they are doing pretty well. Now, moving from one rushing quarterback on to another. Now, there's only really two main talking points for this game. It is Colts Dolphins. Game itself, I'm going to say, wasn't particularly a classic, anything like that. We were sat with the Colts won out 16-10 over the Dolphins. My question, my slightly controversial question perhaps, is Anthony Richardson an NFL starting quarterback? He came out of this game, I'll give you half a second to mull that over before I chuck something under the bus. He came out of that game 10 of 24, 129 yards. Now, I'm sorry that the Dolphins are not an elite defensive unit. I mean, they're okay. They're not elite. He added 56 yards in the ground, but I'm sorry. I want my quarterback to be able to throw the ball. If you can add rushing, great. Is Richardson a starting caliber quarterback? We've now seen a bit more of him. Last year, obviously, we only got a handful of games. He's sat out a bit of this year as well. We know his play style is prone to injury risk. Is he somebody that you would put any real stock in going forwards?
I kind of worry for him, completely honest with you, what I've seen of him this season. He just plays hot and cold. Like, he had that game early in the season where he threw that monster touchdown, was it to Pierce or Downs, I think it was. I think it was Pierce.
Pierce.
And like, you kind of saw what Flacco could do the last couple of games. So their offense is functional. Like, they can make plays in the passing game. It's not as if they're may not have the most outstanding weapons, but they've still got a good cast. Pittman, Downs, and Pierce. So as you say, should we be making more plays with passing the ball? Yes, I'd probably say so. I don't know. It's fair. It's still his rookie season, basically, isn't it? Really, give him a bit more, leeway there. But it does start to wonder a wee bit, as you say. Where's it going? Shall we say?
What have you taken from what we've managed to see of this? And as Liam says, you are quite right. It is realistically it's still his rookie year, but so far. What have you taken for his performances?
Yeah, I wouldn't be buying any stock in Richardson. There's a few interceptions you've seen this year that you cannot make that throw.
Airmail.
I think a couple of weeks ago, especially, there was a couple that you're just not sure what he's thinking. He's running a lot. Yeah, okay, he runs, but he runs into contact, and you've seen it already this season, getting injuries. If you put Flacco in yesterday, do they score more points? And I think the answer is yes. And that's where for the Colts. But, you're 4-3. You live to fight another day.
Yeah, that is true. Now, on the Dolphins side of it, the Dolphins lost. The Dolphins have swapped about between Tyler Huntley and Tim Boyle at quarterback. It's not a big shock at the minute that the Dolphins lost. Geez, I'm actually trying to pull it around. Tyreek pulled in one reception for 8 yards. DeJohnny Smith pulled in 7 for 96, but moving on. Our big thing of the minute of the Dolphins, and I am possibly going to step slightly on the preview crew's toes, and I'm very sorry, but I'm not that sorry. It has been released over the last couple of days. They've opened the window for Tua to come back to practice. We knew Tua would be back this year. Well, we suspected that Tua would be back this year. It's confirmed that he's going to be back this year. My big question with this, Tua's confirmed that he is going absolutely nowhere near playing with a Guardian cap on. Should somebody be taking this decision out of Tua's hands? We've all seen it with him more than once now. This is a guy who a lot of people are saying should just retire because of the injuries that he's sustained. And now he's saying he's not going to take advantage of the one bit of kit the league has to give him added protection. Should the coaching team in Miami be saying, nah, Tua, you're wearing it and that's it, pal?
I was going to say it's a hard one because ultimately it's up to him, really. As hard as that is to say, you can give a player all the advice in the world, or in any situation, give it all the advice in the world. It comes down to you can't force someone to do something. Is it the right decision? Time will tell. Don't know. I suppose it's still out how much does its guardian caps are new. You know, all the evidence. You know, it has seemed to have improved things, but how much of a difference does it make? Yada yada yada. It's you like it seems, you know, from the outside, obviously, why wouldn't you wear a guardian cap? What difference does it make? You know, it's not going to affect anything in your game. Putting a cap on top of your helmet. Why wouldn't you? You know, even if it's not going to give you, you know, it's just a 1% difference in your risk profile. Why wouldn't you do that?
I would prefer having 1% more brain.
But that's easy. That's easy to say, sitting here chatting about it, you know. But yeah, it's tricky.
Russian guardian caps. That's what we should have. We should all wear them for the sake of the guardian caps. What were you, Andy, to round this one off, mate? Is this something where do we take this to?
I think Liam Dredd, it's up to himself, isn't it, really, at the end of the day? He knows himself how he feels. He's a competitor, he said it before, he wants to get back out there. What is it, 3 times this has happened? I mean, 4th time, is that it? Like, when do you stop? When do you stop? Yeah. Because, you know, these, you know, can happen on any given sort of Sunday, as they say. If he gets another knock, I can't see him coming back. I don't know, does somebody have to pull him out, though? Who knows?
Right, we're going to move on. We've got one more game we're going to cover in this episode 1 of our Week 7 review. It was the Falcons at the Seahawks. Falcons falling, Kirk O'Shane's, falling 14-34. Couple of big talking points for this one. Starting with the Falcons. Falcons gave up 72 yards in penalties. You just can't give up that amount of penalties in the game and expect to come away doing, okay, before somebody jumps in my throat and X. Yeah, I know that the Seahawks gave up 42 yards, but that's still, it's a 30-yard swing that you've handed over for free. You can't even be doing it. Is there something that the Falcons really just need to try and clean up the kind of the discipline side of the game?
Yeah, I think so. The big question for the Falcons going into the season was the pass rush. Can they get to the quarterback? Because it's been a problem for them for years now. This was, I didn't really know which way this game was going, to be honest. This did have the feel of one of those Geno Smith games where he just turns up and it's just complete throw. I know that it's not what the box score says, but you know, he was efficient. But from a Falcons perspective, it's a tough loss, isn't it? You know, this could be massive come the end of the season in playoff implications.
Yeah. The other side, I suppose, we look at the Seahawks. DK had a day, but DK went out. And I now try to remember if we've actually had DK Metcalf's injury status confirmed. DK had one of those days, and I laughing at them for offering the DK Metcalf. DK had himself a day. There you go, that's it just there. They're optimistic that the knee injury he suffered isn't serious. To wrap this one up, Liam, do the Seahawks need DK and the rest of their weapons to really stay healthy? Do they have the depth that, I'll be honest, at the start of the year, I kind of thought they did have? But the more the season's going, is as strong at depth as we maybe once thought it was.
Yeah, I know what you mean, because obviously they still got Lockett there, and then I suppose everyone's still waiting for JSN to really kind of kick on. He still had quite a few targets, but didn't really do much with them. I suppose they'll probably just leave them on the run if they have to, because Ken Walker seems to be playing really well this season. He got a passing touchdown. He got a passing touchdown and a rushing touchdown, didn't he, this game? So, and yeah, I suppose they've been very up and down. The Seahawks, you know, they've stopped a three-game losing streak now. So, but they're still sitting 4-3. You know, they're sitting top of the division. So really, you've taken that at the start of the season to sit top division. You know, with the division they're in with the Niners. It's the kind of another team. They kind of just blow. Geno kind of just blows a bit hot and cold from times. He's like I like Geno. I like watching Geno play, but sometimes you're just like,
He's a bit of an enigma, isn't he? Yeah. He is one of those comments. I don't really know how good Geno is. Like, I've seen some games like, you are a thing. And I've seen other games like, no, you are not. But, well, thank you very much, everybody. That brings episode 1 of our Week 7 review crew to a close. Thank you very much, gents, for coming along with me and for the talk through the rest of the slate from week 7. Now, for everyone that's been listening in, remember, you can keep in touch with the crew. You can find us on X at Gridiron-Crew. We are on Instagram at grid_iron_crew. You can find us, as I say, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts at, you can find us. Get in touch, join the community. We want to hear from you. Like, subscribe, and let us know what you want to hear us talk about here on the crew. And until next time, thank you very much for listening. Welcome to the Irn-Cru podcast, an NFL podcast made in Scotland by NFL lovers. You are listening to and watching the Review Crew, and I am your host, Brian, the Conscience of Cleveland Dorman. Well, it is episode 2 of our Week 7 Review Crew. We have already sat and talked our way through the Saints v the Broncos, the Jags and the Pats, Vikes and Lions, Bills at Titans, Colts at Dolphins, Falcons at Seahawks. But my God, Week 7 had much more to offer than that. I am still joined by our panel tonight. The crew is comprised of the one, the only cheesehead worth sniffing. Looks a little disgusted with me. He is the one and only Lions roar. It is Andy, and he is with us as well. Now, we are going to get stuck straight and tell you about stuff that's going on with the crew towards the end of the podcast. So please keep listening so you can hear all of that. And we are going to get stuck straight in. And Liam, you are the one. I remember that I'd slated the Packers playing the much wanted Houston Texans, who, yes, I need to keep saying up. But it was Packers against the Texans too. And do you know what? I'm not even going to say it. Liam, how did you go on? How did it happen?
Yeah, it was a frustrating watch at times, that game. It was all about our defense, really. We kept Stroud like 80 odd yards past all game, basically. One by more. It was some silly plays by Love, really, and the 2 interceptions weren't great. He's kind of thrown it up there with, I suppose, it's like talking about a Lions fan, that it kind of reminiscent of the Lions game last year. We kind of threw that ball up to Watson and got the first playoff. Now it's kind of a yellow ball, what we want to call it. And we seem to be just doing that a lot, just like, let's just chuck up, see if we get something, and if we don't, we'll live for another day. But to be fair to Love, still 3 touchdowns in the day. But we could have made it so much easier on ourselves. And the other thing was the muff punt that kind of switched to the win. I'd taken a win against the Delta defense. We seem to a big step up. Change coordinator for North. Everyone seems to.
It's one of the NFC North. Because I've literally just pulled it up to quickly glance at it now. Lions 5-1. The Bears somehow 4-2. It is. Do you know what? I'll put this to both of these because it is the kind of question at the moment, and we'll talk about the Texans in a minute. Is this FC North the best division in football? And you're completely unbiased opinion.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, sort of franchise quarterback now. Yes, like Liam said, it's almost like you have to win every somewhere is going to win. So, bit gutted that the Packers snuck this one. Went across. You're looking at the Texans. Okay, I kind of thought the Texans might go in and be able to get the job done, but at Lambeau Field, yeah.
And to move on to the Texans, I suppose, holding CJ Stroud to 86 sacks, to be fair. Four sacks with Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon they finished with. So the ground game was giving them something. Stroud to 86 yards passing is something that's terrifying to have to come up again. I'm going to ask this question because it's worth asking. How many teams are making it to the playoffs for the NFC North? Looking at this, thinking two.
I'd like to say kind of hopping on Packers and our, that it could really be the difference. We just have to, or whatever it is, maybe, and then we're kind of out of the mix. It could be having to. Okay, they're on a bye week this week, but they're keeping up at this point. So yeah, shall we say?
I think we'll see 3. I could see the Vikings. Yeah, they should be in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's going to be a thing, man. You know what? I suppose the thing that might be the problem is he's might cut each other's throats.
Yeah.
Those divisional games roll round and we start to work our way through to creep in for someone. And that might be where some lesser quality teams, I'm going to be honest with you, some of the lesser quality teams in the NFC, because they don't need to play the level of opposition that you guys do inside the division, which is the sucky part of being that way. And yeah, I can say this because this was us last year, damn it, when we were actually reasonably good. Right, guys, it's time. This is where I should reach through the internet, through the airwaves. We all hold hands and we all make me feel better as we talk about the Browns. It was Browns at Bengals, traditionally a game that we win every single year. Not to be this year. It was Bengals 21, Browns 14. The talking point of the game. Deshaun Watson goes down, ruptured Achilles. He is out for the year. The Browns will now play with a combination of quarterbacks. We've seen this song before. The Browns did it last year. We set records. We played 5 quarterbacks throughout the regular season, still made the playoffs. It doesn't look like anywhere near the same team this year. I'll put it to you guys and I'll take it off my big brown shoulders. Lots been made this year about the Browns' woes more or less falling exclusively on number 4's shoulders. It's not his shoulders anymore. We now see Jameis Winston come in. We now see DTR come in. Is this something that potentially has a chance of rejuvenating the Browns on offense somewhat? Or is this ship on fire and just needs to be, sent out into the harbour to sink?
I think it's going to be refreshing from a Browns perspective that narrative can kind of go to bed in the every week sort of questioning, is this the week that Deshaun Watson gets benched? Obviously, mixed in with the return of Nick Chubb coming back, you do have a storyline that you can kind of cling on to, and let's just get Chubb into the end zone as much as we can, and let's just talk about that. So, yeah, I mean, Jameis Winston, I don't know if that's going to be much better, to be honest. You'll be better positioned to have a comment on that than me, but yeah,
Well,
I wouldn't.
What we need to do is see. I've figured that out. We're going to change how scoring works, right? You now no longer need to get the ball in the end zone to score points. It's based on how well your quarterback can deliver the speech. Because if we base it on that, we're going to win every game by like 100 points. Jameis Winston is wasted in the NFL. That man's a natural orator. He speaks with such passion. Yeah, one of the big stories, obviously, as you say, Chubb is back. Saint Nicholas Chubb returns. Oh, it makes me so happy to watch that man play football. And yes, he did. He got into the end zone. He didn't set any huge stat lines on the day. It was not a day for rushing the ball. It wasn't a day for Brown's offense. But no day is a day for Brown's offense this season. Yeah, he came out with, as I'm double checking, 22 yards rushing. So, you know, it wasn't a lot. He did get his touchdown, obviously, which was great. The Bengals, Liam, to come to you with them. Now, Stu, because he would be upset with me if I didn't say it, would like us all to acknowledge that he feels the refs hate the Bengals. I think he's just sore. He's convinced there's a conspiracy. But this is great. He's going to be so angry listening to this. So, yeah, there were a couple of questionable calls. He's not having the uncatchable ball because unless Jamar chases the BFG in skies, that ball was 15 foot over his head. Much has been made this year about the Bengals' misfortune / not having a defense. They have got one of the league's best offenses, and that stands up to most statistical measures that you care to check. Particularly well last night, but he put up enough to get his team through it. Are we seeing the Bengals finally turn the corner? Are the Bengals now, in the way the Bengals seem to always go, where they hit, normally it's earlier than this, but they normally hit kind of week 4, week 5, and then start to build up a little head of steam with a healthy Joe Burrow and start to gather up wins. Are we seeing the Bengals wake up, Liam?
Maybe slow. Yeah, actually, not quite the same as they have been the last couple of seasons. I don't think they're slowly getting there. I thought this game was a bit of a strange one for the Bengals. They didn't, I suppose, it's a divisional game. You know, they never done well against the Browns. I suppose maybe it's just one of their kind of voodoo games to get the win, to get out, come in, get the win, get out again. You know, as you say, Burrow's he's certainly doing better. He certainly seems to be getting better. Higgins now seems to be coming to the game now as well. And obviously, still got Chase there. I don't know that there's another thing from this game was they lost. Not lose Orlando Brown, I think, their tackle as well in this game, which could be a big loss. And they just, I don't know, they just seem to be still stuttering a wee bit. They're still, I can see, you can see the talent's there, or they've got the talent still on offense to really come alive. I think I don't think we've just quite seen it yet. But when they get going, they're always kind of, sorry, Brian, fun. They're quite fun to watch when they do get going. So, you know, for NFL, the neutrals, you kind of want to see them kind of do that.
Right, we'll tell you what, we'll wrap this game up with a question because I'm not talking more about the Browns because it'll make me sad. No one wants to see me cry ugly tears on YouTube. One for both of you. You're both sat there supporting teams who, I don't think it's unfair to say, have got dreams of deep playoff runs. Dare I say it, Lombardi-shaped dreams. If you were to get all the way to the dance and the Bengals stepped through the door on the other side, yes, it's only week 7, I know. Based on what you've seen this year, would you be licking your lips or would you be worried about it?
I mean, before the season started, I had the Bengals going to the Super Bowl, and I still think it's possible. The offense is always going to score points with Chase and Higgins there. The defense has been, it's been subpar. I mean, they had a good game yesterday. I think 4 sacks, a couple interceptions, but is that the Bengals defense, or is that on the Browns offense?
We'll have that one. That was our fault.
Yeah. So yeah, I think from that, about your question, I'd be quite happy with that, just based on the fact that it's probably going to be a shootout, isn't it?
Yeah, I tend to be a fan of there. I think looking at their defense at the moment, I would be quite happy going up against that. I think I'll be looking to put up some good point totals out in that game, and it should be just a matter of holding their offense down and getting Joe Burrow, a couple of interceptions or whatever, sort of thing. So yeah, it's whether they can turn around that defense to get a bit more competitive, a bit more. I'm not saying lights out by any means, but just a bit more solid, shall we say, put it simply.
Right, well, that's it. I'm going to pass this footage on immediately to a certain Mr. Hendrickson from Cincinnati, friend of the pod, and I'm just going to tell him that he's both think he's mince, and he's going to come to your house and do bad things to you both. Right, okay, we're going to move on. Now, I don't know if either of you two are aware of this, right? There's this guy, right? He plays football. He goes by the name of Saquon Barkley. Now, what you might not know, he used to play for the New York Giants. And then he got traded. And then he was playing against the New York Giants, who somehow didn't think it was a good idea to tackle him at all ever for a whole evening, as he absolutely ran clean through them. It wasn't even that he accumulated a lot of yards. He accumulated them all in huge chunk plays. Yes, the Eagles, who have been hit or miss this year, they're 4-2, and you can't take that away from them, but they've not looked the most convincing. They steamrolled the New York Giants. It was 28-3. With Saquon Barkley sticking up 176 yards. And what did we say last in episode 1, Liam? It's not a revenge game.
No, it's just I can't remember now what we said. It's like it's a mutual appreciation game. Is that what the word we were saying?
Mutual appreciation game. Well, the Giants certainly allowed Philadelphia to appreciate their trade acquisition.
Yeah.
My question to you is, watching this game, guys, as I've been down in the Eagles all year, I continue to be down in the Eagles. I think Jalen Hurts is just a guy. I don't see it. I called the Eagles to regress a lot in the preseason, and I am holding that I am right. Yep, they are 4-2. Won't take it away from them. They ain't getting anywhere near beyond a wild card spot come the end of the year, and if they get that. Am I being very, very harsh, or should I be seeing other things in these games? We've seen the Eagles absolutely destroy the Giants. Should I have seen something else there?
I tend to agree with you. I kind of seen similar in the Eagles. I think you did notice the difference of AJ Brown being back. It does help Hurts a massive amount, but like you said, he's not a mediocre quarterback, but I don't think he's one of the elites in the league. The defense as well, although they did play well. I think they had 7 sacks yesterday. Defense has been leaky sort of all year, but you can only beat who's in front of you, and they got the job done. And Saquon, like you say, goes wild. I think he had 3 or 4 runs that were just like nobody for him. It was strange watching that one back, and it just had me thinking. I was just thinking, if Saquon was still on the Giants, with Saquon and Neighbors, they could have been relevant.
Yeah. Think about that. That's a great. I hadn't even really considered that. If you need to accommodate for Saquon, and as I say, I appreciate the talent of Neighbors. His college tape was incredible. All of his metrics are incredible. He was going on a team that I think we all guessed wasn't going to be brilliant. So I discounted him quite heavily because of that. But he's shown us all when he's been on the field, the boy can ball out. That would have been a team that you wouldn't have been able to ignore them. And that things isn't that bad. Actually, kind of. He's better than Drew Lock. What were you? What were your takeaways for this? When you look at teams like the Eagles, who are perennial playoff contenders, what are you kind of your main your main conclusions that you take for a performance like that one.
I suppose we kind of touched on it. It was kind of expected. I don't know, like the Eagles expected the Eagles to beat the Giants, who were coming into the game, and they did. And yeah, they had some good plays, but as you say, they're not quite what they have been in the past, team-wise. And you see, fair to the defense stepped up, and like you're talking about Neighbours there, they held him in check. Like it's an interesting thought. If they had Neighbours and Barkley, they would have two people to worry about, where they only really had Neighbours to worry about, and they kind of. I know he's been getting some good, having some good games, but if they find a way to shut that player down, then is that really it for the Giants? Really, offense-wise, kind of looks that way, basically.
Yes. Answer to your. Oh yeah. Oh no. Sorry. Tyrone Tracy is there. Sorry, fantasy football fans out of there, but Tyrone Tracy is not a thing. He's just not. One swallow does not a summer make. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see it going forward. It's another win. It's another one in the win column for the Raiders. The Giants are one of these teams that, much like my Browns, seem to be perennially rebuilding. And the rebuild continues. I'm sure we'll all have lovely houses by the time it's finished. Right, moving on to. But we're dealing with this one quickly because I have no idea what to take from this game. So we had the Raiders against the Rams. Rams walked away 2015 victors. We had a couple of Kyren Williams touchdowns. We had no touchdowns for the Raiders side. It was all field goals, unless I'm forgetting something. It wasn't a vintage performance from either team. Yeah, do you know, I'm just going to float this one at both of these guys. Takeaways. Big points that he threw out of this one.
My takeaway is that they need cutback from the Rams desperately, or Puka, because Stafford's 150 odd yards. Yeah, that's not Stafford. Yeah. And it's just like, they need some weapons back to be competitive or fully competitive. I know they got the win, but the Raiders were lost O'Connell. Raiders were Raiders. Lost O'Connell and Minshew through give up 4 picks, 4 turnovers or something like that.
Three interceptions, and a fumble, and a lost fumble. That was the 4th one. Yeah. It's just one of those games, Andy, that you're happy that you only watched it on Red Zone.
Yes. I think so. It was a strange one. I mean, the Raiders are a weird team for me. Antonio Pierce, I don't know if you've seen towards the end, there was a lot of talk about the game management, the clock management. Yeah. When I was watching it in live, I was thinking, why are you not calling a timeout? He basically ended up costing his team a timeout in 20 seconds. In that that's critical. You need all the when you've got, is it Adrian O'Connell or if it's Gardner Minshew, you need all the time you can get on that field. But yeah, Rams, the defense showed up, but again, is it a question of, was it the Rams defense, Raiders offense? Time will tell.
Yeah, I don't think we need time to tell. I think we can just say it was a Raiders offense. I suppose one of the big bits that came out of this game, Aidan O'Connell has broken his hand. I can't. It was his thumb. He's broken one of his hands. He's going to be out for a number of weeks. So Minshew mania is great when Minshew gets subbed in, and you get Minshew for like 3 weeks, and no one was expecting him, and it's fine. Minshew is your starter. I'm sorry, he's beautiful and glorious, and he has wonderful flowing locks of hair that I'm jealous of. There's a reason that he's always a backup, not a starter. And yeah, I think you have probably hit the nail on the head when it comes to the Rams, Liam. On the ground, Rams looking good. Kyren Williams is the thing. Kyren Williams is the player. When you're receiving options number 1 and 2 are Tyler Johnson and Tutu Atwell, that kind of makes life fairly difficult for your quarterback to succeed. He needs some of these playmakers to come back. Right, moving on to a game that went the way everyone expected it to, but not in the way everyone expected it to get there. We had the Commanders, who are the darlings of this season. They're this year's Lions, who absolutely hosed the Panthers, who are this year's Panthers. But the only team I can think about that are comfortably worse than the Browns. They hosed them 40-7. But was it the work of the electric Jaden Daniels? No, it was not. As he left the game very early with a rib injury. He is fine. It has been confirmed that he'll be okay. But we've seen Marcus Mariota. Don't know about you guys. If you've not, this is spoilers, everyone. He's in the Netflix documentary Quarterback. If you've not seen it yet, you should really fix that. And he came across really well in it. But I came away from watching that show thinking, yes, Marcus Mariota, I understand why you, much like Gardner Minshew, are always a backup and never a starting quarterback. You've said that a couple of times already tonight, Andy. I'm gonna be really cruel and flip the table on you. Is this a case where Marcus Mariota is actually a serviceable NFL quarterback, or are the Panthers just really, really bad?
I think the Panthers are really, really bad. Although, like you say, Daniels is going to be okay. He's someone that when you watch, it's similar to Anthony Richardson, where you're just worried about that contact. And if you can get a chance to get a backup in a game like this, when it's an absolute blowout and just intent, I think Dan Quinn will be quite happy just to see that his backup can go in there and can keep things ticking over if need be. So, yeah, I think this is more on the Panthers.
Yeah, I would like they were so far ahead already, like early in the game. They're like, why don't we just run the ball to death? He still put up pretty good numbers, and did he need fair play to them, and fair play to the play call to actually to do that and not just make it predictable. But yeah, I think it's a positive how Mariota we need it to some degree.
It is a thing, really quick. I don't know that I necessarily get this about the league because they all do it, but I don't really know that I understand why. Going into let's just go into the half, right? Going into the half, the Commanders are 27-0 up, and they've still got Mariota chucking the ball. As you say, it's not electric, but he went 18 for 23, 205 yards and a couple of touchdowns. They've still got him chucking it. They're still being really aggressive in offense. They are still using all of their big-time playmakers. Is it no meant to be a wee bit of a thing in the NFL that when you're utterly hosing a team, you just kind of pull back on it a wee bit and you just ease off the gas? Particularly, we then look going into the fourth, they were 37-0 up. Yeah, okay, the Panthers then got a touchdown late in garbage time. But like, it was, I don't know, were you as surprised as me that the Commanders seemed to try and just want to run it up on the Raiders a wee bit, the Panthers a bit, sorry?
Maybe just get carried away a wee bit. FedEx Field seems like it was absolutely bouncing, and I don't know how long it's been since we've seen that on a game day. It started off really well with the pick six, I think it was. And yeah, the fans turn up, they pay their money, they want to see good football. I don't know. Is it as simple as that? It worked anyway.
Hell yeah, it was great. Well, it was a great game if you were for Washington. You feel bad. Imagine being a Panthers fan at the minute. Like I can kind of empathise as a Browns fan, but we do have at least a couple of pieces on the team that I would pay to go and see. This is going to be one of the ones where we should check. But the Panthers not the team that a few years ago you could buy a ticket in Carolina for $1.50 or something like that to get in.
Ridiculously cheap, yeah, it was indeed.
Ooh, it'll be going that way again. Yeah, sorry, Panthers fans, you're in for a tough old time. But hey, look, it's okay. You can look forward to the draft. Yeah, they do. Yeah, I was going to say they've still got all their own. They've got their own first round for next year at least. Right, okay. We're going to move this on. We are moving on to one of the games the last of the games of the late window before we move into prime time. It was Niners versus the Chiefs. Baddies. Love to hate you. And the Chiefs walked away 28-18 winners. This was a tough game. I think that is fair to call this game tough. we've seen a lot of heavy hitting. We had an ejection. I do love it in the NFL how it seems to be some form of unwritten rule that you can get away with punching someone as long as they punch you back. So it's always the second guy that gets ejected, never the first guy. This was a good game, actually. I thoroughly enjoyed watching this game because it's the kind of football where it is physical and it's hard hitting. Chiefs obviously they move up to 6-0. They are lined up. Niners 43-4. What were our big takeaways for this one, guys?
I think it was, as you're saying, it was a hard game to be playing. I suppose that their defenses from both sides were playing pretty well. Two picks of Mahomes, three for Purdy. But I think the Chiefs, you think Mahomes hasn't been playing. If you look at the stat sheet, it's not great, but he finds a way to win. He does it on the ground this week. Basically, is what he did. That run down he had a run down the sideline that was.
All these little stutter
step, and he just kept going. I quite enjoyed that. But yeah, it was a kind of night of them getting it done. Their defense getting it done, and the Niners just getting more and more banged up. Obviously Debo went out, and then Ayuk now I don't know if it's confirmed ACL, but suspected ACL. And yeah, they just need, and also no CMC still, and yeah, Purdy. He has games like this where you just kind of throw some picks around, but in some ways you're thrown to your third and fourth stringers. You can't put it on Purdy to some degree, I suppose, but he does still have these kind of games in him. I do like Purdy as a obviously you like the story and stuff like that, but he always seems to have one of these games off. But he seems to bounce back always. But it'll be interesting with all these injuries now where he can do it.
Yeah, it's one. I don't know. I suppose to come to you. Is this one? Is Liam right? Well, he's right. If we look at, if I grab them now, so Patrick Mahomes' stats so far this year, without getting into the full minutiae of them, he's got a 67.9% completion rating. He's only sitting at 1,389 yards. He's got 6 touchdown passes and 8 interceptions. If he doesn't lead the league in interceptions, he's second. I don't have that stat in front of me right now. But his team are 6-0. And don't get me wrong, a lot of that is on the back of some incredible defensive play for Kansas City. We'll talk about that in a minute. But at the end of the day, is wins and losses the number one stat that any player should be caring about, and the rest of it's irrelevant.
Yeah, I mean, good teams win when they're not playing well, and I think the best unit on that field was the Chiefs defense. They've been, lights out for a couple seasons now, really, led by Chris Jones, obviously in the middle of that D line. But yeah, Mahomes, although in the statistics, like you say, they're not favourable, and it's the scrambling ability that I think Liam had touched upon, and they don't always show up in the box score, but it's these 3rd and 6, 3rd and 5, always finds a way to get out and just keep the drives going along. I can't remember how many first downs they had in this game, but they just kept moving the ball, kept ticking over, and they gave it to Kareem Hunt when they needed to. I think he touched the ball over 20 times. So again, yeah, like you say, 6-0, that's all that matters.
For it, they had 22 first downs in the game to San Francisco's 19. So yeah, it is the one that jumped out at me, to be fair. And this is one that I can definitely talk about this stat. Third down efficiency. Chiefs' third down efficiency last night, 8 for 14. So that's efficient. That is good going in third down. Niners, 2 for 11. That's Browns-esque. It's damning if you can't let yourself lose out in that many third downs and still hope to come away with a win against a team with the quality of Kansas City. Another one that jumps out at you when you look back at this game, it's Stu's favourite stat. I know it's not to do with long snappers or kickers. Time of possession. Chiefs sat on 35 minutes and 4 seconds, if you want to get particular, time of possession. That is a long time to have your defensive unit out in the field. That is a lot of minutes for expecting a team to cope with the varied threats that Kansas his wee stutter step and his juke around, which was great. I'll be honest, my one, God damn you, studs, if you're listening. The truck on Malik Mustafa, particularly given a couple of the more than a few players, but you just seen it where Mahomes just dipped the shoulder and just smashed them. Fair enough, Kermit. Well done. It was a good game. This is one. Are we ringing the alarm bell? Right, okay, Casey are going to be in the postseason. Nobody's talking about that because it's a given. Are the alarm bells starting to ring in San Francisco about their potential postseason opportunities this year?
I think potentially. I mean, Shannon, every time it's sort of panned him, he's looking more and more sort of, don't know what the word is, but frustrated. I don't know what it is. Like, he's out his comfort zone. It's not going his way, and something just doesn't seem quite right. I mean, like you say, you get Pearsall comes back, and then you lose Ayuk. It's just not going their way this year. And sometimes that's all that happens. You know, injuries just pile up, and they don't stop. And you can maybe potentially write this year off. I wouldn't. I think the 49ers have so much talent that, you know, they can ride this out, but it's getting difficult. And, you know, 3 and 4, I mean, they're still very much in the division, though, aren't they?
Well, would you be worried if you were a Niners fan?
I don't know if we worried quite yet, because I think they're going to be thereabouts, as they always are. But I think what's interesting, that's always like they're one of the oldest rosters now, and maybe, you know, is that something to do with all their injuries, you know, piling up? You know, it's just all those hits have been taken for those years. They've, you know, come back to haunt them a wee bit. It's kind of getting to the point where it's kind of they need to really, you know, was last season really their opportunity to win it all? You know, they come to the point where it's going to start becoming a rebuild eventually. You know, they're getting so old. You know.
Yeah. Say it. Is the Super Bowl window? Is it
closed?
Can we open a new one? It's not the Bills anymore. It's the Niners. I
wouldn't go that. Yeah, not quite there yet, but you never know. Yeah, they're just getting, you know, Shanahan is a wizard normally, so I wouldn't put it past them putting another run together. But it's the injuries are a bit of a concern, shall we say?
On you go, Andy.
Yeah, just going to say, what do you do long term with the QB? Do they have full faith that he is the man? You know, Brock Purdy. Are you going to give him the bag? Who's going to be the casualty of that? You know, yeah, it'll be interesting.
I'm going to call this one now, at the risk of looking silly later. Nope.
Yeah,
I don't see it.
Yeah, I'd agree.
For me, it's a great thought. To be fair, Purdy for me was on a bit of a prove it year. If Purdy balled out this year, put the kind of performance in that he put in last year, to be fair, I was very down in Purdy last year, but to be fair, he had a good year. If they'd put that type of performance in, I would have said, yeah, they probably would bring him on and give him a bit of a paycheck. But nowadays, when you look at how the quarterback market's shaking out, you ain't paying Brock Purdy what you're going to give him Dak money? No, it's not going to happen. Well, I don't think so anyway. Right, you're going to make me do it, and this is cruel, and I'm fairly certain the Geneva Convention's got a line in it against making me talk about things like this. But we are going to move on to the final game. It was prime time. It was the Steelers-Jets. God damn you, Mike Tomlin. Why can you revive careers with such alarming efficiency? First, you made Justin Fields look like he was actually a passable quarterback. And then you decided, no, actually, we're going to bench Fields. We're going to bring in Russ, who I was so confident was washed and done. And he looked, bar the first quarter, really bloody good. The Steelers walked out with a win, 37-15. To be fair, they were down at the half. But what a win. What did we think about this one, guys? Are the Steelers just really irritatingly well run? This, I suppose, is as a Browns fan, unashamedly, they're just really annoyingly well put together as an organisation. And they just seem to turn out these results week after week.
Yeah, I find them quite bland in that they just seem to win. They just win, but it's not. There's never really a massive highlight reel. Like you say, Russell Wilson came in. He actually did throw deep a couple of times. Pickens was there for it as well. But on offense, I don't know if this is the kind of offense that lasts in the playoffs if they do make it. Defensively wise, yeah, you've got a lot to be positive about. They're still flying around. They're still getting to the quarterback. Maybe not so much last night, obviously, with sort of Rodgers looking for just checking down quite often. But yeah,
I don't know. I'm an old man. Don't hit me.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of the Steelers, to be honest. I mean, they're 5-2, top of the division, but I'm not sold on what's going on.
Yeah, I was kind of jumping on the back of that. And Andy's saying, like, it's a good way to put it. They're kind of bland. They're just kind of trying to win. It's not exciting to watch. They're not
the NFL.
Yeah. And maybe that's why they made the Russell Wilson switch, try and get it a bit more exciting, get a storyline going, a further storyline. I don't know, but yeah, they're just kind of. But yeah, fair play. They are just well run, aren't they? Tomlin just seems to always do it, doesn't he? Always seems to. What's that record of always been above 500 or whatever it is at the end of the season?
Never been below 500. He's not going below 500 this year.
He's not. Which is fair play. You can't really begrudge him that. So yeah, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I really hate the Steelers. Well done, people of Pittsburgh. You've beaten me. I'm a broken man. Yeah, well done, Steelers. Walk around on a win, sitting comfortable top and off. Jets, you are a tire fire. Aaron Rodgers is done. He is bust. He is gone. Enjoy paying him for a year from one team paying a useless quarterback to another. You enjoy paying those wages while he's still here. Yeah. Right. We are going to draw week 7 to a close, gents. A little reminder for everybody listening. Our crew announcements of the week. Remember, this weekend, Sunday, at Committee Room 9 in Glasgow. Get yourself down there. It is the Gridiron Crew's first Red Zone watch party. Jump onto any of our socials. You can grab yourself a ticket. The tickets are free for the event, but you need to grab one. We would love to see you guys down there. Keith, Dan, a whole host of the crew are going to be there. We would love to enjoy your company to watch a bit of Red Zone. Also, we have got our special crew episodes. We have got the special crew episode where the guys, Dan and Gav, were fortunate enough to sit down with Phoebe Schechter and talk about not just all things football, but they were talking about flag. They were talking about kabaddi at one point. That conversation was wild and varied, and you want to be a part of it. We have also got our next special crew dropping very, very soon, where Dan and Gav welcomed on some of the ex-Scottish Claymores players. We had Rob Hart and Bobby Grant on with us to talk about all things Claymores, all things NFL. It's one to look forward to and be looking at. We've also got the British punter on that one as well. Make sure you grab it. And there is a new one. It's in the works and it's top secret. I'm not allowed to say anything more than I've already said. And else Gav will put very terrible messages about me on the socials, which would be bad. So look forward to that as well. Now, with that all said, it does bring episode 2 of our week 7 review crew to a close. Now, well, if we ignore the fact that we've still got the Cardinals, Chargers and Ravens Tampa Bay playing tonight, that is one to look forward to. Please, Baker, I trust you. Beat the Ravens. It's one to look forward to catching up with. And remember, the crew will be back later this week for the Week 8 preview crew. So keep your eye out for that one as well. We have so much Gridiron Crew content coming your way, you're not going to know what to do with yourself. All that remains for me to say is thank you very much to the guys. Liam, thank you so much for coming on tonight, mate. It's a double done. 2 episodes in one night, mate.
No, always a pleasure. Always great fun to chat ball. It's great. Always good.
And Andy, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on. This is, do you know, do we get to call episode 2 still your debut? Is it still a debut pod if it's the second episode? But thank you so much for joining us tonight, mate. It's been brilliant to have you along.
No, it's been brilliant being on. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Excellent. Right, well, with that all said and done, all that is left for me to say is thank you all very much for listening. Remember, You can catch the Gridiron Crew on X at grid_iron_crew. Catch us on Insta at Gridiron Crew. We are on Spotify. We are on Apple Podcasts. We are wherever you get your podcasts. Get in touch. Give us a like. Give us a subscribe. Give us a follow. Help grow the community. We want to hear from you. We want to see things keep going. And until next time, we'll see you all later.